My godmother slapped me with a $1,500 fee to support the collective, but her niece only paid $300. Then my godmother wiped my site, drained an old account, and called it a misunderstanding. Now she wants to talk. I found out about the fee on a rainy Tuesday morning. My name is Elise Marshall. I'm 29 years old, living in Portland, Oregon, and I design custom furniture, the kind with clean lines, warm wood, and hours of sanding behind every curve. I just finished assembling a walnut console for an upcoming show when the email came in. The subject line was just, fee reminder. I opened it, not thinking much of it. Maybe someone at the collective needed help covering materials again, but it wasn't that. Elise, we expect payment by Friday. We're struggling too. Margot, that was it. No greeting, no signature, just we're struggling too, like that made it okay. I stared at the screen for a full minute before I even reacted. Margot, my godmother, my supposed mentor, the woman who took me under her wing after design school, had just slapped a $1,500 monthly co-op fee on me like it was normal. I scrolled through the thread, thinking maybe I'd missed something. I hadn't. That was the first and only message. No explanation, no heads up, just a demand. And the worst part? I'd just seen Dahlia, Margot's niece and my longtime friend, post a boomerang from the collective studio. Co-op Tuesday, it said, with a laughing emoji. The caption? Painful $300, but worth it. $300. I blinked. At first, I thought maybe she meant a weekly rate or something, but no. When I asked her casually a few weeks back, what do you pay monthly here, by the way, she had told me without hesitation, $300. Aunt Margot says I'm still trying to find my voice. I guess mine was already found and priced at 5 times the cost. I sat there in the workshop, surrounded by sawdust and half-finished sketches, and felt something inside me crack. I wasn't just mad, I was humiliated. The collective was supposed to help young artists. That's what Margot always said when she invited me to show my first piece there for free. We lift each other up, she told me once, glass of wine in hand, back when I still believed in all of it. Now it felt like a setup. I'd been pouring my commissions back into the studio, building inventory, teaching workshops for free because it's good for exposure, and now she wanted $1,500 a month? For what? A dusty corner and a shared drill press? I couldn't stop staring at that email. We're struggling too, Elise. I'd heard Margot say that line to other artists. I just never thought I'd hear it aimed at me. And the way she said it, like I owed her, like my success was something she deserved a cut of, it made my skin crawl. Maybe I hadn't outgrown the collective, maybe I'd just outgrown them. A week later, I met up with Dahlia for drinks at a quiet bar in Selwood. It wasn't planned, she texted me "Are you alive?" after I missed 2 collective meetings in a row. I figured I needed answers anyway. We sat at a window table with gin cocktail sweating in front of us. Dahlia had that casual, floaty vibe she always did, denim jacket slipping off one shoulder, hair in a messy braid, like she just walked off a mood board. I didn't hate her, not exactly, but the resentment was humming under my skin. So, I said, trying to keep my voice light, is the co-op fee always this much? She blinked at me over the rim of her glass. What do you mean? I got hit with $1,500 this month. Her mouth dropped open, then twisted like she was trying not to react. Wait, seriously? Dead serious. She looked away for a second. I thought you already knew. Knew what? I leaned in, watching her face shift. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, then sighed. I only pay $300. Aunt Margot says I'm still trying to find my voice. I didn't speak, couldn't. My jaw was clenched so tight it hurt. Dahlia kept talking, maybe to fill the silence. She says it's just temporary. Like, until I build up a real client base. I nodded slowly, my stomach twisting. Right. But the thing was, I had a client base. My stuff had been in Northwest Design Quarterly twice this year. A custom table I built for a tech exec in Seattle got reposted by Architectural Digest's Instagram. I wasn't some newbie screwing around with reclaimed wood anymore. And Dahlia? She was talented, sure, but she'd changed her medium 4 times in 2 years. First ceramics, then textile art, then back to wood, now mixed media with LED lights. Still finding her voice was a generous way to put it. The worst part wasn't the money, it was that this wasn't new. As I sat there, I started remembering all the small things. Group shows where my name was on the 3rd line of the press release. Opening nights where Margot introduced me as one of our steady hands while calling Dahlia a rising visionary. Every time I brought something solid and finished, it was met with polite nods. Dahlia brought in a half-glued driftwood chandelier and got fawned over. I stared into my drink. All those years, I thought I was being supported, guided, but maybe I was just being used, the dependable one, the workhorse. The one Margot could count on to show up, stay late, and not ask questions. Not anymore. I didn't plan it. I was supposed to stop by the studio to grab my level and router bits. That was all. But then I saw her, Margot, in her usual corner by the window, sipping tea from that ridiculous oversized mug with "good vibes only" in gold cursive. She looked up as I came in and gave me a tight smile. Morning, Elise. I didn't smile back. I walked straight to my workbench, grabbed the toolbox, and paused. My chest was buzzing, my jaw already aching from how hard I'd been clenching it since that drink with Dahlia. She spoke again without looking up. "Did you get my email about the next show?" I turned. "I got your last email, yeah. The one where you told me to pay $1,500 by Friday." She set her mug down. "Elise, it's not personal. The collective is struggling, so I heard." She sighed, stood, and walked over like she was about to deliver a gentle lecture. I wasn't in the mood. "You're making a fuss over a small fee," she said. "Don't you want to support the community?" I laughed once, short and sharp. "Why is my support 5 times more valuable than Dahlia's?" Her expression flickered, but only for a second. "Dahlia's still finding her footing. She's not where you are yet. You're getting commissions left and right, Elise. You can afford to give back." I stared at her. Really stared. "You think success means I owe you?" "That's not what I said." "It's exactly what you said." She tilted her head like she was trying to sound reasonable. "The collective has always depended on people like you. Steady, reliable. That's not a bad thing, but it's not a choice, is it?" I said. "It's a role you put me in." "Elise, no. I've done the workshops. I've worked late. I've let you take credit when the press came around. I let it slide when my name was left off that grant application last year. Remember that?" She looked down for the first time. "You said it was a clerical error," I continued, "but somehow Dahlia's name made it just fine." Silence. "That $1,500 you're asking for," I said slowly, "that's not for the collective. That's your retirement plan, and I'm supposed to bankroll it." Margot stiffened. "You're being unfair." "Am I?" "Because from where I'm standing, I'm not part of a collective. I'm part of your business model." She folded her arms. "It takes money to run a space like this. I thought you understood that." "I do," I said. "What I don't understand is why I'm the only one expected to carry the load. Why my loyalty gets taxed while Dahlia gets praised for potential." Margot didn't respond. She just stood there, her jaw tight. I looked around the workshop, the tools I donated, the chairs I fixed, the shelves I built, and saw it all for what it really was. Not community, not support, just quiet exploitation dressed up in mentorship. I picked up my tools, walked past her, and said over my shoulder, "You'll get your answer by Friday." 2 days after the gala, my website crashed. At first, I thought it was just traffic, maybe people looking me up after what happened. But when I logged into my hosting dashboard, entire project galleries were missing. My most viewed designs, gone. Images wiped. Some backups corrupted. My heart started pounding. I called the hosting company. After 15 minutes of being on hold, a tired-sounding guy named Gavin told me the files had been deleted manually from someone with admin access. Not just deleted, permanently purged. No backups. No traces. How could that happen? I asked, even though I already knew. "Well," Gavin said, "looks like the login was used by an authorized user around midnight Sunday." Authorized user. Back when I first joined the collective, Margot helped me set up my portfolio. She insisted on having access in case you ever need tech help. I never changed the credentials. I sat there on the floor of my studio, holding the phone against my ear, staring at the loading icon on a blank gallery page. Then came the real gut punch. My business account pinged me with a fraud alert, a flagged payment for just under $9,000. Some vague invoice tied to Mero operational expenses. I'd seen the name before, back when I used to split bills with the collective. But this wasn't a split. This was a withdrawal, from my account. My heart dropped. I called the bank immediately. The woman on the phone was kind but firm. It came from someone listed as an authorized user on the joint marketing fund, Melissa Margot Erickson. "Margot," I whispered, "you've got to be kidding me. I had forgotten about that account. It was set up years ago, back when I still believed in shared tools and group advertising." Margot asked to be added just to keep things smooth. I never removed her. But now? She was trying to gut me on the way out. I spent the next 2 hours shutting everything down, changed all my passwords, pulled every shared asset, called the bank and revoked every single permission I had ever given her, issued a formal dispute on the charge. Then I did one last thing. I opened a new message thread and typed, "Try that again, and you'll be hearing from my lawyer." I stared at the message for a second, then hit send. No reply. Just a little gray check mark that sat there like a middle finger. I leaned back in my chair and looked around my studio. Quiet, stripped down, mine again. I thought of the thousands of dollars, the years of loyalty, the stolen credit. But I wasn't shaken. I was pissed. And finally, I was done playing nice. She showed up unannounced. I was in the middle of sanding a maple slab when I heard pounding on the glass door. Not knocking, pounding, sharp and fast, like someone trying to break in without actually breaking in. I flipped off the sander, wiped my hands on a rag, and walked over. Dahlia. Her cheeks were flushed, eyes wide, rain dripping from her bangs. She didn't wait for me to open the door fully. She pushed it wide and walked in like she owned the place. "Seriously?" she snapped. I didn't say anything. I just shut the door behind her and leaned against it. She kept going. "You destroyed everything. Do you even realize that?" I raised an eyebrow. "You want to try that again with less drama?" Her jaw clenched. The collective folded. Margot's freaking out. Half the members are pulling their work. We lost the gallery deal. I crossed my arms. So? Not my problem. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. God, listen to yourself. You think you're better than us now? Just because you finally made it? That got me. I stepped forward, slow and deliberate. You think I made it? Dahlia didn't answer. I shook my head. You were there, Dahlia. You saw the late nights. You saw me busting my ass for scraps while Margot handed you praise for gluing driftwood to plywood. That's not fair. No, I said, my voice low. What's not fair is being told I need to support the community while covering your rent with my co-op fees. What's not fair is watching Margot treat me like a damn ATM while calling you the future of design. She blinked. Just for a second, the defiance in her face cracked. I didn't let up. You want to talk about making it? I clawed for every inch. I took commissions no one wanted. I built pieces in an unheated garage while you wandered between mediums and got applause for exploring identity. I never asked for that, she muttered. No, but you never turned it down either. Silence. I thought we were family, she said finally, voice quieter. I thought we had each other's backs. I exhaled. Yeah, me too. And then I walked to the door, opened it, and held it. Dahlia stared at me for a second. I didn't flinch. She walked past me without another word. I closed the door behind her, locked it. For a while, I just stood there in the quiet, the rain ticking against the roof. Whatever we had, it was gone. The call came on a Sunday morning, just as I was pouring coffee. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something in my gut told me to pick up. Elise, the voice said gently. It's Martin. I hadn't heard from him in months. Margot's husband, my godfather. The one who always stayed in the background, quietly sanding picture frames or tending the gallery garden while Margot gave interviews and curated exhibitions. Didn't expect to hear from you, I said flatly. I figured. He paused, like he was choosing his words carefully. I thought maybe we could talk. I leaned against the counter. About what? Margot's not doing well, he said. The collective folding hit her hard. She says she's lost everything. She didn't lose it, I said. She drained it. He let out a long sigh. This place, it was her dream, Elise. She really believed in it. I looked out the window at my tools, lined up neatly under the eaves. My own studio. My name on the lease. No more co-op votes. No more polite exploitation. Her dream was funded by other people's work, I said. Mostly mine. Martin didn't argue. She's not blameless. But I just thought, maybe you could sit down with her, talk it out. There was a time I would have caved right there. I'd always thought of Martin as the neutral one. The quiet, reasonable man who softened Margot's sharp edges. But now I saw it for what it was. You miss me? I asked, keeping my tone even. There was a pause on the line. We miss what you brought to the table, he said. I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Right. You miss the labor, the free marketing, the credibility I gave her when people asked why Dahlia's weird resin sculptures were hanging in a showcase window. Elise, no, I said, cutting him off. You miss what I did for you. That's not the same. He didn't respond. I didn't wait for him to find words. Tell Margot I wish her well, but we're done. And then, I hung up. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. Just quiet. It started with an anonymous email. No greeting, no sign-off, just a one-line message in the body. The Marrow Collective has officially dissolved. Website goes offline Friday. No sender. No reply address. I stared at it for a while. I didn't feel satisfaction, exactly. Just a strange sense of finality, like a door slamming shut behind me. 3 days later, Dahlia showed up at my new pop-up space. She looked nothing like the girl who used to flit through the studio barefoot with a sketchpad and a turmeric latte. Her hair was pulled into a rough ponytail, makeup smudged, hoodie too big. She stood at the edge of my work table like she didn't know how she got there. Hey, she said, voice hoarse. I didn't respond, just set down my chisel and wiped my hands. They shut off the lights, she said. I went in this morning to grab some of my stuff, and the door was padlocked. Like, literally chained. I nodded once. She laughed, that awkward, sharp laugh people do when they're trying not to cry. I didn't even get to take my resin molds. Or my space heater. I leaned against the table. I'm sorry, Dahlia. She looked up at me then. Really looked. Do you have room? She asked quietly. Not, like, permanently. Just somewhere to work, or even help out. I could assist with finishing, or sanding, or... No, I said, gently but firmly. Her face crumpled, just a little. I'm not asking for charity. I know, I said, but I'm not a safety net anymore. She closed her eyes for a second. I didn't know how bad it was until it all fell apart. I did, I said. 4 years. Silence hung between us, heavy as wet lumber. I don't have anywhere else, she said finally. Not just to work. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I believed her. But I also remembered every time she looked away while Margot took credit for my designs. Every time she laughed off the favoritism. Every time she got a reduced fee and called it grace instead of what it really was, a rigged game. I hope you find your footing, I said. But not here. Her lips parted, like she was going to argue. Then she stopped herself. Okay, she whispered. And just like that, she turned and left. The door clicked shut behind her. I didn't watch her go. I didn't cry. I just picked up my chisel again and went back to work. It took about 6 months to get it off the ground. No press releases. No fancy launch party. Just a workshop with good lighting, decent coffee, and artists who knew what it felt like to be overlooked. We called it split grain. There were 5 of us to start: me, a ceramicist named Jules who got pushed out of another collective for being too political, a textile designer named Rena who was constantly undercredited, a metalworker named Theo who'd been passed over for every grant because he didn't have an MFA, and a quiet, brilliant luthier named Sam who'd never once seen her name on a placard. We built everything ourselves, painted the walls, installed the ventilation, pulled together a modest tool pool. We voted on every decision. No director, no founder, just equity and effort, split evenly. And this time, I wasn't the only one staying late to lock up. I got an email on a Tuesday. The subject line said, "Proud of you." It was long overdue. It was from Lucille, one of the original Marrow Collective elders. She'd left years before I joined. Said Margot changed once she started treating the collective like a brand. Lucille had always been kind to me. She once slipped me a $100 bill at a show when she noticed I skipped dinner to afford the materials. Her message was short: they don't like when the dependable ones speak up, but they always remember who built the foundation. Keep building. You've earned this. I sat with that for a while. Then I walked into the workshop. The soft buzz of sanding pads and low music filled the air. Jules was hunched over a mug set. Sam was stringing a guitar. No one looked up when I entered, but someone slid a coffee toward me on the bench, just the way I liked it. I stood there for a moment, just taking it all in. The quiet hum of real work. No quotas. No undercurrent of performance. Just creation, and the respect that came with it. I glanced around at the clean wood shelves, the labeled drawers, the pieces waiting for final polish. This place wasn't just mine. It was ours, and no one's name was hidden at the bottom of a tag. I smiled, really smiled. Finally, I was free. And this time, I owned everything I built.